Okay, so now we are still in the month of October, and we are still then talking about this topic of zeal, the power of zeal. And that power of zeal is our innate divine power of enthusiasm and excitement and passion and motivation. This is that thing that gets us going in the morning, that gets us excited about our life. And it's a thing that gives us that motivation and impetus to begin something, to move into something, to start something new. And it also gives us the energy to allow ourselves to be creative, to allow ourselves to be demonstrative in our lovingness. There's all kinds of different ways that zeal shows up for us, and it intersects with all of our other divine powers, of course, because we know all powers intersect with one another. So today's centering thought, so firstly what I'm going to be talking about is gratitude as an ignition for this zeal within us. So I've called this one the gratitude ignition. And my centering thought for this comes from Psalm 100, which was the same psalm that Terry just did the reading for from that retranslation. And so this particular translation that I found says, "Serve Yahweh with gladness, come before his presence with singing." And so what does that mean, to serve Yahweh with gladness? Well, I'm going to get into that a little bit. And then the other quote that I have here is from Albert Schweitzer, and I love this one. He says, "At times our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us." And of course, that spark, that gratitude spark, can be the thing that lights our zeal for life, our enthusiasm for life. And so leaning into our gratitude, and especially on a day like today with Thanksgiving, we naturally want to come around to a thought about what is gratitude for us. And gratitude is that thing that expands us. It's that thing that enlivens us. And so it works hand in hand with our zeal. So I wanted to get a little bit back to this idea of serving Yahweh with gladness, though, because when we look at some of the translations in the Bible, it says serve the Lord with gladness. But when the Lord is capitalized, they mean Yahweh. That's their word for Yahweh, because of course Yahweh was the name that the Hebrew people had for God. That was the primary name of God. And so in that primary name of God, it was so sacred that only the priests in the temple were able to speak the name. So think about that sacredness. Now, when we look at the translation of what Yahweh means, it means the self-existent one. It means the one that was before all, that is in all. And so on truthunity.net, I got this information. It says, Yahweh revealed himself to Jesus as the Father within, and Yahweh revealed himself to Moses as the I am that I am. That I am is the I am that we are. It is the Father within us. It is the divine within us. It is the source of life that we are. And so when we serve Yahweh with gladness, who are we serving? Well, we're serving first our own inner light that wants to shine forth. And when we come into community and serve one another, we are serving the divine in one another. And this is a beautiful way that we display and nurture our awareness of our oneness. Because I am not separate from you, and you are not separate from me, and we are not separate from God. So by serving Yahweh with gladness, we serve each other with gladness. By coming before his presence with singing, we come in joyful song together. By being together and being in service to one another, we are also in service to ourselves and our higher life. And how beautiful is that? And that, of course, is energizing. Of course it is. when we're in that place of living our purpose, living our divine self, how could we not be tapped into the goodness that we are in every way and tapped into the joy that we are in every way? It is a joyful life. It is a joyful life when we allow it to be so. So one thing I also wanted to mention about the name Yahweh. In the Bible, they talk a lot about the name of God. And really what they mean by the name, in the Hebrew tradition, the name was more than just a designation. It was more than just a label that you slap on the outside of something. The name is the nature of. And so we are serving not just the name Yahweh, we are serving the nature of Yahweh. We are serving the nature of the divine within us. And so our inner divine life is the fullest nature of who we are. And that fullest nature is joy. That fullest nature is love, is gratitude, is expressive. It's all of the powers that we have within us that we bring out into the world. So as we serve that name, we serve the nature. So this is the value of spiritual community for us, is that we get to see our nature in the way that we interact with one another, and we get to hold each other up to the higher idea of who we are, because we see it in one another. We know it in one another. And so because we know it in one another, we have the opportunity to uphold that idea for each other. We have the opportunity to uphold that idea for ourselves and to be supported in that and to be accountable to that. And we also have the opportunity to do that with others. And so that's why we take classes, that's why we study, that's why we work with each other, not just on a Sunday morning to come into Sunday service, but we bring this out into the world as our life. We live our lives in this way in order to have that fullness of the experience of the divine within us. And we support each other as spiritual community to do this. And this is why it's so important. To me, I see that as being a real huge benefit of being in spiritual community, that we get to support each other in that. So I wanted to think about a little bit more about that idea of what happens when we are grateful. There's physicists talk about the idea of light, and that light sometimes is a wave and sometimes is a particle. And the things that I've read about this say that it's always a wave, it's always in a wave, it's in its potential state, where it can be anything or do anything. It is always in that potential state of being a wave. But then, when we bring attention to it, something happens and it solidifies into a particle. And this is our gratitude as well, right? This is how our gratitude operates. When we are in that wave of the divine potential that is there all the time waiting for us, that is always in the flow of life, that is always in the flow of beingness, when we bring our attention through gratitude, we crystallize that divine life into something beautiful for ourselves. We crystallize that into our own experience of joy, of peace, of love, of even just that experience of knowing that I am strong enough to get through this day, whatever this day looks like. So bringing our mind to gratitude helps us to bring that wave of potential into goodness for ourselves. It helps to bring us into that place of knowing who we are and knowing that we are a part of that wave of divine light. Charles Fillmore writes, oh no, I wanted to do this one first, I guess. Oh, right, I didn't even put that on my page, so I'm going to have to turn and read it. Scientists have shown that subatomic particles, once physically connected, then separated, are still connected. This is that the theory of, what's it called? Entanglement, quantum entanglement theory. So what they say is that particles can be eons apart, but when there is a shift or movement in one, the other shifts in like manner. A rotation by one particle is matched by the other particle, no matter how great their distance. Scientists refer to this phenomenon as quantum entanglement. Mystics and prophets have called it oneness. And so here again, it's just another expression of how when we come together in community, that when I come here in gratitude and in love, it also impacts each one of you. And we are together in this, and so we raise each other up in our lives. We raise each other up to that highest joyful life that we choose to live when we come together in community, because we are not separate from one another. This is just yet another one of those beautiful examples of how we are coming to really truly understand that we are one thing in different forms. I am the you that you would be as me. And you are the you that I would be if I were you. That was probably really confusing, but it really made great sense in my head, so I'm just going to let it go there. Okay, Charles Fillmore, his beautiful quote, "We increase whatever we praise. The whole creation responds to praise." And again, this is why we so want to immerse ourselves in gratitude and praise, because all of creation responds to it, and if all of creation responds to it, all of our community responds to it, all of our world responds to it, all of our connections responds to it, and all of our life and experiences respond to it. We have an opportunity to bring ourselves into a deeper level of zeal, a deeper level of enthusiasm and joy, simply by bringing our mind around to gratitude. So it's a beautiful thing. Now, I wanted to tell you a story because I always like to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you the story about the day, or, well, let's say the year, that I became thankful. Growing up, I was in a family that wasn't very demonstrative, and we were also not very, you didn't hear a lot of pleases and thank yous. The German kind of background that I came from was very sort of matter of fact, and it was do this, don't do that. It wasn't please do this, please don't do that. And there was not a lot of thank yous in there. You know, you were just expected to do things, and so why would you thank somebody for doing something they're expected to do? That's just a given. They should be doing that. So we didn't have a lot of these social graces, I'm going to say, in my family growing up. And when I was in junior high school, and I'm not sure exactly what was the influence on me at the time that I made this choice, but I remember between grade 8 and grade 9, I decided to be grateful. Something, I'm not sure what it was, happened that made me realize the impact of my lack of gratitude on the people around me. And at the time, I was really introverted. I was very quiet. I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't have a lot of social connections in any way, and I really didn't know how to act with people. I was pretty awkward. I was an awkward, geeky, very smart, but awkward, geeky kind of young person who had no idea how to be in the world. And something happened. Like I said, I don't even remember what it was. And I decided that what I needed to do was to become more grateful. And so I made a point of saying thank you for every door that was held open for me. Saying thank you to every service person, restaurants and stores and wherever I was, every person that was doing something that was serving in any way. I made a point of being grateful. And not just saying thank you, but saying thank you, I really appreciate what you did, and being specific about it. because it was really important to me to start to recognize all of the good in my life and to create that pool of gratitude around myself. And there was a few things that happened from that. Firstly, people softened. The people around me that I always felt were unreachable, it wasn't that they were unreachable, I wasn't reaching out. So by being in gratitude, that separation that I was feeling softened. And I began to connect with people more. And I began to make better friends and more friends. And the other thing that happened was that I suddenly felt a lot more energized and a lot more energetic in my life in general. And there were things then, I ended up, I went on a diet, I got a boyfriend, I got, like, all kinds of things over the next 2 years happened that would not have happened. I am so sure of it, would not have happened if I hadn't made that shift in my life. Because suddenly what I realized that what was happening inside of myself, I was always grateful inside of myself, but I wasn't letting it show. I wasn't letting it connect with people. And by just allowing that barrier to soften, I suddenly created such a deeper connection with everything around me and everyone around me that I became a more energized person in my life. It changed a lot for me. And I'll tell you, I wouldn't be standing up here as a minister, connecting with all of you, giving hugs to everybody that I can, that will let me. I wouldn't be doing that if I hadn't made that choice. Gratitude is a powerful, powerful catalyst in our lives. It is an ignition for us in so many ways. It's a catalyst for our connecting with others. It's a catalyst for seeing the good that's already present for us in our lives. It's not about creating something good. It's about having an awareness of what's already there. This is what gratitude does for us. It awakens our awareness to how good things really are, and how much we have been gifted in this life. So, as a practice, I decided that what I would do is read this Thanksgiving address. This is from the Haudenosaunee, which is Iroquois, Thanksgiving address. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to respond periodically. I'll say the word now, and then you will respond with, "Now our minds are one." And it's just a beautiful Thanksgiving for everything kind of address. So this Thanksgiving address was used by the Six Nations of the Haudenosaunee Iroquois to open and close major gatherings and meetings. The prayer was also sometimes used individually at the beginning or the end of the day. So first, to the people. Today we have gathered and we see that the cycles of life continue. We have been given the duty to live in balance and harmony with each other and all living things. So now we bring our minds together as one. We give greetings and thanks to each other as people. Now our minds are one. To the Earth Mother. We are all thankful to our Mother, the Earth, for she gives us all that we need for life. She supports our feet as we walk upon her. It gives us joy that she continues to care for us, as she has from the beginning of time. To our Mother we send greetings and thanks. Now our minds are one. And to the waters, we give thanks to all the waters of the world for quenching our thirst and providing us with strength. Water is life. We know its power in many forms: waterfalls and rain, mists and streams, rivers and oceans. With one mind we send greetings and thanks to the Spirit of water. Now our minds are one. And to the fish, we turn our minds to all of the fish life in the water. They were instructed to cleanse and purify the water. They also give themselves to us as food. We're grateful that we can still find pure water. So we turn now to the fish and send our greetings and thanks. Now our minds are one. To the plants, we now turn toward the vast field of plant life. As far as the eye can see, the plants grow, working many wonders. They sustain many life forms. With our minds gathered together, we give thanks and look forward to seeing plant life for many generations to come. Now our minds are one. To the food plants, with one mind we turn to honor and thank all the food plants we harvest from the garden. Since the beginning of time, the grains, vegetables, beans, and berries have helped the people to survive. Many other living things draw strength from them too. We gather all the plant foods together as one and send them a greeting of thanks. Now our minds are one. And to the medicine herbs, we turn to all the medicine herbs of the world. From the beginning, they were instructed to take away sickness. They are always waiting and ready to heal us. We're happy there are still among us those with that special knowledge of how to use these plants for healing. With one mind, we send greeting and thanks to the medicines and the keepers of the medicines. Now our minds are one. And to the animals, we gather our minds together to send greetings and thanks to all the animal life of the world. They have many things to teach us as people. We are honored by them when they give up their lives so that we may use their bodies as food for our people. We see them near our homes and in the deep forests. We are glad that they are still here, and we hope they will always be so. Now our minds are one. To the trees, we now turn our thoughts to the trees. The earth has many families of trees who have their own instructions and uses. Some provide us with shelter and shade, others fruit, beauty, and other useful things. Many people of the world use a tree as a symbol of peace and strength. With one mind, we greet and thank the tree life. Now our minds are one. To the birds, we put our minds together as one and thank all the birds who move and fly about over our heads. The Creator gave them beautiful songs. Each day they remind us to enjoy and appreciate life. The eagle was chosen to be their leader. To all the birds, from the smallest to the largest, we send our joyful greetings and thanks. Now our minds are one. To the four winds, we are all thankful to the powers we know as the four winds. We hear their voices in the moving air as they refresh us and purify the air we breathe. They help us to bring the change of seasons from the four directions they come, bringing us messages and giving us strength. With one mind, we send our greetings and thanks to the four winds. Now our minds are one. We've now arrived at the place where we end our words. Of all the things we have named, it was not our intention to leave anything out. If something was forgotten, we leave it to each individual to send such greetings and thanks in their own way. Now our minds are one. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was a beautiful way to end this Thanksgiving time together. So that Thanksgiving address was from Greetings to the Natural World, English version, John Stokes and Kanawahatan, David Benedict, Turtle Clan, Mohawk. And there's a whole website that I could give you if you choose to see that more. Yeah. So let's end today with our affirmation. We ignite our joyful zeal as we are grateful for each other. Now our minds are one. And so it is. Ah, beautiful.